Could the WNBA be headed to a lockout?
Everything is pointing to a player strike.
Let's go back a few years. For those not paying attention, the Women's National Basketball Association, or WNBA, was on the edge of the sports world in America.
Here's what Nafisa Collier had to say about the protest after the game.
The players are what is building this brand and this league.
For many, it was a joke on sports talk radio, an easy target for critics who would happily post pictures of empty seats.
The negotiations are stalled, then we could see a lockout.
The common, often sexist story was that the league was always struggling to survive, kept alive by money from the NBA, a product that its loudest critics said simply couldn't succeed on its own. For decades, the league fought just to stay alive. Not to be the best. It fought for a little bit of media coverage, for a small piece of the marketing money, and for the basic respect that male athletes got automatically. Teams came and went in cities like Miami, Portland, and Cleveland, and each time a team folded, it left a scar and added to the story that the league was unstable. This was a league that survived on the pure hard work of its players. Stars like Cynthia Cooper, Sheryl Swoopes, and Lisa Leslie, the league's first great players, played for the love of the game and the hope of building something for the next generation because big-time fame and lots of money were not part of the deal. They were trailblazers cutting a path through a thick, unfriendly jungle. Let that old noise fade away. Open your eyes and ears to what's happening today in August of 2025. That jungle is now a lively and energetic place. The WNBA is not just surviving. It is thriving in a huge and undeniable way. With no exaggeration, it is the hottest and fastest growing sports league in America. This isn't a quiet comeback. It's a full-on revolution. It's the golden era that the first players could only have dreamed of. Arenas are no longer just filled. They are electric, buzzing with the energy of new, different, and excited fans. Games are selling out, making teams move to bigger NBA arenas just to handle the huge demand for tickets. TV ratings aren't just going up a little. They are breaking records almost every week on different networks. The league is creating new superstars very quickly. Caitlin Clark, a once-in-a-generation talent, came into the league not just as a good rookie, but as a huge deal in our culture, bringing millions of fans with her from college. Angel Reese, with her confidence and history of winning, became a star right away. But this boom is built on more than just two players. It is A'ja Wilson, the league's current MVP and best defender, building a powerful winning team in Las Vegas. It is Sabrina Ionescu, the New York Liberty's inspiring leader. A triple-double threat who shows what a modern player can be. It is Breanna Stewart, a two-time MVP whose quiet, steady play hides how competitive she is. It is the veteran players like Diana Taurasi, still playing at a high level, connecting the league's past to its explosive present. These women are more than just athletes. They are powerful brands, smart business owners, and important voices in today's world. They are talked about, argued about, and celebrated everywhere, from ESPN to TikTok. You would think then that the league's main office would be a place of pure celebration. You would imagine the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, and the team owners raising glasses of champagne, excited to share the money from this new success with the women who made it happen. Instead, the house is in a quiet panic, because this beautiful, shining palace of success, filled with record profits and sold-out arenas, has been built on a dangerously shaky foundation. Behind the fancy marketing and happy press announcements, the whole league is on the edge of a disaster they created themselves. The players, who are the heart and soul of this whole thing, have all decided they are out of patience. They are demanding a revolution in their pay, a real piece of the huge amount of money they bring in, and a basic level of professional respect that has been treated like a bonus instead of a right for too long. A shutdown of the whole league is no longer a fair-off idea. It has become the most likely result of talks that have gone badly, and the clock is ticking. Every second is a loud beat marking the countdown to a deadline that could either start a new era of partnership or send the league into a dark age of its own making. Every revolution has a shot heard round the world. For the WNBA players, it wasn't a gunshot, but the quiet, defiant act of putting on a t-shirt. This happened during the WNBA All-Star Weekend, an event made to be the league's biggest party. It's a time to show off the best players, connect with fans, and look like a polished, united group for sponsors and TV partners. The players, however, had a different idea. In a carefully planned move, over 40 of the league's biggest players, including its top stars, came out for warm-ups. They came from the tunnels not in their colorful all-star jerseys, but in simple, plain black shirts. Written across the chest, in big white letters, were 5 simple words that carried 28 years of frustration. Pay us what you owe us. This wasn't a sudden outburst. This was a smart, media-savvy move. The players and their union, the WNBA, knew that to control the story, they had to do something on the biggest stage. They chose the league's main event to take over the show. There was no confusion, no way for commentators or bosses to twist the message. It was a direct, public challenge to the league's leaders, shown live on national TV for everyone to see. This united act of defiance is the main point of a conflict about one very important legal paper, the Collective Bargaining Agreement, for CBA. For those who don't know, the CBA is the foundation of any pro sports league. It's the main contract, agreed upon between the players' union and the owners, that controls every part of the players' work lives. It sets pay scales, how money is shared, health benefits, rules for having a baby, travel standards, and rules. For free agency, the current CBA was called groundbreaking when it was signed in 2020, led by the WNBA president at the time, Nika Ogwumike. The players got big improvements, including higher pay, fully paid maternity leave, and better travel. But that contract had a very important part, an opt-out clause. This gave the players the power to end the agreement a year early if they felt the league's money situation had changed so much that the deal was no longer fair. In 2023, seeing a flood of new money starting to come in, the players used that, right? It was a risky but smart move, basically tearing up the old contract and forcing the league back to the bargaining table. That decision started the current crisis, and that crisis has a firm, unchangeable deadline, October 31st, 2025. Yes, this year. As I talk to you in the first week of August, we are less than 90 days from that deadline. The season will end. A champion will be celebrated, and then the league will face a Halloween deadline for what could be a horror story ending to its own great season. With the league now making a profit and growing so fast, a person might think that the talks would be friendly, just a simple case of changing the numbers to match the new reality. That thought would be very, very wrong. The league and the WNBA had already had 2 official meetings during that same All-Star weekend. The result? They got absolutely nowhere. Sources from the players' side said the meetings were an epic fail. They said the players' team came to the table with carefully prepared information, charts showing future money growth, and a clear plan for a partnership. The league's team, on the other hand, supposedly answered with empty business talk and was unwilling to talk about the players' main money proposals. The players left the room feeling not just ignored, but insulted. This is why the t-shirts were not just a protest. They were a direct result of the league's failure to talk in a fair way. The players are no longer asking nicely. They are demanding. And what they want is clear. A survey of WNBA members showed what was most important to them. A huge 70% said higher pay, tied to a bigger share of league money, was their #1 goal. The other 30% focused on basic professional standards. A big increase in team roster spots to create more jobs and lessen the strain on current players. Clear, league-wide minimum standards for practice buildings and medical staff, and more help. For the dozens of mothers in the league, including childcare and family support, the message from all of them is clear. The women who are the product, the show, and the only reason for the league's new success feel like they are being treated as parts that can be easily replaced in a machine that is making everyone rich but them. To understand how frustrated the players are, you first have to understand just how big the WNBA's current business success is. This isn't a small upward climb. It is a huge, explosive growth happening in every way you can measure it. The story of the league's business is no longer about hopeful guesses. It is a story of amazing, real numbers. Let's start with the most basic sign of interest: people showing up. Attendance across the league is up an amazing 13% from just last season. The average crowd is now over 11,000 fans per game. To understand that number, in 2022, the average was just 5,600. The league has basically doubled its live audience in 24 months. This is not normal. This is a historic level of growth, the kind of growth that experienced sports bosses hope to see just once in their careers. Ticket sales, money, the direct result of this interest has gone up by an even more impressive 26%. Games are no longer just games. They are big events. The Caitlin Clark effect has been a main reason, a huge deal on its own. The Indiana Fever, her team has seen its attendance shoot up by over 180%. But this isn't just about one woman. Teams are reporting record crowds for games against the Las Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty, and the Chicago Sky. The demand is real. It is happening everywhere, and it has never been seen before. This explosion is also seen in the TV and streaming numbers. The WNBA's TV partners, ESPN, ABC, and Scripps Sports, are seeing great results. The 2024 WNBA Draft, featuring Clark, Reese, and Camila Cardoso, had an average of 2.45 million viewers, breaking the old record by over 300%. Regular season games on national TV are often getting over 1 million viewers, with some big games getting close to 2 million. Numbers that are as good as, or even better than, established men's pro sports. Leagues like Major League Soccer or the National Hockey League. The interest goes far beyond the TV screen. The league has grabbed the attention of the hard-to-please digital world. The 2024 All-Star fan vote is maybe the most amazing number of all. In 2023, the total number of fan votes was just over 96,000. In 2024, that number exploded to 1.29 million. That's a 1,240% increase in 1 year. This isn't just a small jump. It is a huge change in thinking. It shows a fan base that is deeply involved, knows about the players, and is excited to be a part of the league's story. Social media activity, merchandise sales, and fantasy league numbers have all seen similar huge growth. If you want to know where smart money thinks the league is going, just look at the value of the teams themselves. This is where the numbers get truly shocking. In 2023, the Golden State Valkyries, a new team backed by the owners of the NBA's Golden State Warriors, joined the league for a fee of $50 million. At the time, it was a record. Today, it looks like the deal of the century. Business experts now guess the value of that same Valkyries team, just over 1 year later, is more than $500 million. That is a 10 times return on investment before the team has even played a single game. This value is not a one-time thing. It has set a new standard for the market. The WNBA has announced it will add more teams, with new ones set to join in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia between 2028 and 2030. The fee for each of these new teams, a massive $250 million, That is a 5 times increase in the league's entry price in less than 2 years. Let's be perfectly clear about what this means. The current owners, the same people telling the players that money is tight, are at the same time telling new owners that a piece of this league is worth $250 million. They are selling a dream of huge future profits, a dream based on a coming media rights deal that is expected to be much, much bigger than their current one. They see the gold rush coming. They are selling shovels to new miners for a very high price, while telling the miners who are actually digging the gold that they have to make do with their old, rusty tools. At the center of this fight is a single number that is completely wrong and unfair. It is the number that shows the deep, structural unfairness of the WNBA's money model. It is the revenue split. In the NBA, many years of tough labor talks have led to a system where the players get about 50% of all basketball-related money. It is a real partnership. When the league does well, its players share directly in that success. Their success is tied together. In the WNBA, the current contract says players get a much more complicated and less good share. When all the math is done, it is guessed that the players' total pay adds up to just 9.3% of the league's total money. 9.3%. Let that number sink in. It is not a pay gap, it is a giant gap. It is a moral and financial Grand Canyon that separates the value the players create from the pay they get. This terrible percentage is the reason for a salary system that is not just unfair, but honestly insulting to the world-class athletes who live under it. The minimum salary for a player in the WNBA is about $66,000 a year. For a rookie, it's a little higher, around $76,000. Now, imagine being one of the top 144 basketball players on the planet and trying to live in a big American city like New York, Los Angeles, or Chicago on that money. If you get to the very top of the sport, if you become an MVP, a champion, a regular all-star, you can earn the WNBA's highest supermax salary, which is about $249,000. Now, to give some perspective, let's put those numbers next to the NBA numbers. The absolute minimum salary for a player at the end of an NBA bench is $1.27 million for the next season. A player on a two-way contract who splits his time between the NBA and the G League makes over $500,000. So, the 15th man. On an NBA team, a player who might spend more time on Twitter than on the court makes 5 times more than the current MVP of the WNBA. This horrible difference isn't just about luxury. It has serious real-world results. It is the reason why most WNBA players have had to play basketball all year round. During their off-season, they travel to leagues in Turkey, Russia, China, or Australia, not because they love it, but because they have to for money. They put their bodies through a non-stop 365-day grind, greatly increasing their risk of career-ending injuries just to earn a living that matches their amazing talent. When critics use the tired argument, but the NBA makes billions more in revenue, they are completely missing the point. The WNBA is not asking for the same dollar amount as the NBA players. They are asking for the same proportional share or a fair slice of the pie. They are not asking for a handout. They are asking for a percentage. They want a system where, if the league's money doubles, the players' pay also doubles. It is a demand for a fair partnership, a rejection of a system that treats them like hired help in a house they built themselves. The pay difference is the main issue. But it is a sign of a bigger problem with how the league thinks, which has often treated its players like they are not important. The league's history is full of examples of bad management and a reactive, rather than proactive approach to player well-being. The recent start of full-time charter flights is a perfect example. For years, seeing the world's best female athletes deal with the mess of commercial air travel was a constant source of embarrassment. Imagine A'ja Wilson, a 6'4" MVP, squeezed into a middle seat for a 5-hour flight, only to be expected to play at a championship level a day later. Imagine Brittany Griner, a famous and recognizable person, being harassed by trolls while waiting in a security line. These were not one-time events. They were the norm. The Las Vegas Aces were so tired from a 25-hour travel nightmare in 2018 that they chose to give up a game rather than risk their players' health. After years of public pressure from players, fans, and the media, the league finally gave in and agreed to pay for a full-time charter flight program for all teams. They announced this $50 million investment over 2 years as if it were a groundbreaking act of kindness. In reality, it was fixing a long-standing professional failure. It was the league unwillingly catching up to the minimum standard that has been in every other major pro sports league for decades. It was not a gift. Was the payment of a long-overdue professional debt. An even more damaging system-wide issue is the league's very small team size. With only 12 spots per team, the WNBA has the smallest rosters in major American pro sports. This creates a cruel and unforgiving job market. Every year, highly praised draft picks, players who were stars in college just weeks before, are cut before their rookie seasons even start. There is no room to develop, no space for project players. It creates a valley of death for talent that falls between being a star right away and being out of the league. This isn't just a jobs problem, it's a player health and game quality problem. The small rosters force coaches to play their stars for too many minutes, leading to tiredness, burnout, and more injuries. It also makes the game on the court worse. By taking away strategic options from teams, the league's solution to its own success has been to add more teams. Yet it refuses to fix the basic problem of not having enough jobs for the talent that is already there. It is a plan of building more houses while refusing to put furniture in the ones you already own. For much of its history, the WNBA's marketing was not very good. The league often struggled to promote its amazing stars to a wider audience. Players like Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and Candace Parker were legends. Yet outside of dedicated fans, they rarely got the level of promotion their talent deserved. The current boom is not because of a brilliant marketing plan from the league office. It is because the players themselves took control of their own stories. They built their own brands on social media, like Instagram and TikTok. They showed their personalities, their fashion, and their lives off the court, making direct connections with millions of fans. They created the content, the storylines, and the rivalries that have made the league so interesting. The league is not leading this charge. 'Tis desperately trying to catch up to the cultural wave that its own players created. Nature doesn't like an empty space, and neither does the market. The WNBA's failure to fully meet the professional and financial needs of its players created an opening, and into that opening has stepped a new, powerful, and possibly game-changing force, Unrivaled. Unrivaled is not just another league overseas. It is a direct, American-made challenge to the WNBA's control. Set to launch in January 2026, it is a new 3-on-3 basketball league. Based in one location in Miami, but its most groundbreaking feature is not its format. It is how it's owned. The league was started by two of the WNBA's biggest stars, Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart. Its business plan is all about the players. It offers salaries that are competitive with, and in many cases higher than, what players can earn in the WNBA. More importantly, it offers its top players something the WNBA never has: a piece of the company. The players are not just workers, they are part owners. This is the WNBA's worst nightmare come to life. Unrivaled is backed by a powerful list of investors that includes a who's who of sports and business. NBA stars like Carmelo Anthony and Steve Nash, soccer legends Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe, and well-known business leaders and team owners. This is not a small startup. It is a well-funded, professionally run organization with huge credibility from the start. Unrivaled is more than just competition. It is leverage. For the first time in the WNBA's history, the players have a real, attractive, American alternative. This completely changes the power balance of the CBA talks. The players are no longer asking for a better deal. They are in a position to demand one. Their unsaid threat is now so real you can feel it. Meet our demands, or we will take our talent, our fans, and our fame to a league that we own and control. The players are not being quiet about this new power. When Nafisa Collier appeared on the live ESPN broadcast of the WNBA All-Star Draft, she was wearing a stylish, unrivaled t-shirt. Sitting just feet away from Commissioner Engelbert, she smiled. For the cameras, a calm and confident act of public defiance. It was a masterful move in a mental game, a clear and undeniable message sent to every boss, owner, and fan. It was the visual proof of a power shift. The players were announcing that they had built their own lifeboat, and they were not afraid to use it. This brings us back to the edge of the cliff. As the October 31st deadline gets closer, the WNBA is at a historic crossroads. The path forward splits into two very different futures, two possible realities that will define the league for many years to come. Path A, the partnership. In this future, the league's owners see the historic moment for what it is. They step back from the edge, drop their old-fashioned negotiating tricks, and welcome the players as true partners. A new long-term CBA is signed. It includes a significant step-by-step increase in the players' share of the money, moving it toward a more fair percentage. Salaries go up for everyone, creating a financially stable career path for every player in the league. Not just the top superstars. The league and the union work together to add more roster spots, invest in player development, and continue to improve professional standards. Strengthened by labor, peace, and a united group, the WNBA gets a massive new media rights deal that brings hundreds of millions of new dollars into the system. The league's growth speeds up, cementing its place as a major global sports power. This is the future of shared success, a win-win situation where everyone benefits. Path B, the Great War. In this future, the owners refuse to budge. They misjudge the players' determination, underestimate their power, and refuse to give in on the main money issues. The deadline passes without a deal. The league falls into a long and bitter shutdown. The 2026 season is lost. The momentum that took years to build disappears in a matter of months. The story of exciting growth is replaced by a toxic story of greed and labor fights. The fans, especially the new ones, get turned off and move their attention somewhere else. And in the empty space left by the WNBA's absence, Unrivaled thrives. It signs dozens of the WNBA's biggest stars, gets its own TV deal, and becomes the top place for women's professional basketball in America. When the WNBA finally returns, it is a weaker product, a league that has lost its stars, its fans, and its trust. It becomes a warning story of business arrogance, a story of how a league fumbled its own golden era. The choice between these two futures lies completely on the shoulders of the 13 ownership groups and Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. This is no longer just a business negotiation. It is a test of their vision, their leadership, and their legacy. Will they be remembered as the forward-thinking leaders who supported a revolution in women's sports? Or will they go down in history as the stubborn, short-sighted bosses who killed their own golden goose? The players have made their position clear. They have built the house. They have filled it with their talent, their personality, and their sweat. They are no longer willing to be treated as temporary guests. They are demanding the keys. The entire sports world is watching. The clock is ticking.